What's up, guys? Rope Monster coming back at you with another video here from beautiful Mexico City. Now this is a sensitive subject, guys. We're going to talk about the gentrification of La Roma, La Condesa, and we're going to talk about what's actually happening here. Is it my fault as a gringo? Because I'm getting a lot of hate lately from locals. I'll tell a little story about something that just happened to me and also something that happened to me last week when I was crossing the street, minding my own business. And we'll discuss two misunderstood factors, two factors in the gentrification of Mexico, especially these neighborhoods in Mexico City that no one's talking about. Is this misplaced hate? Are the gringos completely to blame? Let's explore that topic today, guys. Thanks for stopping in, taking time out of your day to be here. All right, let's go. First of all, guys, I'll share two quick stories that make me question, are gringos really that welcome here in Mexico City, or are things changing? First of all, I was just about to start filming this video, and this is a fairly large park, right? I clearly had my gimbal set up, my camera, and this is a small space that I'm occupying here. And while this is a public park and I don't own it, there are just certain pleasantries and manners that you like to see, right? And this guy just decides out of this entire park to come bathe his dogs right here and then just take his time and sit down and get on his phone, and he knew what he was doing. And finally I asked him, I was like, hey, you know, in Spanish, right, in his language, hey, I'm about to start filming a video. The lighting's perfect right here. I would like to film right here. How long do you think you may be? I wasn't rude about it at all. He raised his voice at me, went off on me. And some other folks came to my defense and were like, wow, that guy was super rude. So he's not a representation of everyone here, that's for sure. But that was a little bit upsetting and disturbing because there's this whole fountain where his dogs could have gone and entered somewhere else. The other day, I was over in La Roma Norte, where I am now, but a little further away by La Fuente Cibeles. And I was just waiting to cross the street and I could feel someone staring at me. And I look over and there's this guy in a pickup truck in the passenger seat just glaring at me. And so I kind of look at him and he continues to lock eyes with me. And as they finally make the right turn and cross in front of me, he makes an obscene gesture at me and has a few words for me. And I stood there. I did nothing to provoke him. I was just being a gringo waiting to cross the street. So keep in mind, guys, if you're moving to Mexico City, don't always expect to be welcomed with open arms. But why is that? Well, I'm going to try to look at this through the lens of both locals and expats coming here. Why are these people so upset? These folks who have kind of shown some resentment and anger and even hatred toward me and other gringos. Why is that? Well, the gentrification here in La Roma, La Condesa, and some of these other neighborhoods is undeniable, and it's disgusting. It's really sickening, actually. But is it really our fault as gringos who come down here and we're just simply looking for a better life? We're trying to find a place to rent, and the rents are really high. We have to look at two different factors, but let's go back to 2022, because in 2022, something big changed here, and I don't hear anyone talking about it. So we're going to talk about that today. And this has to do with politics, guys. So the mayor of Mexico City decided to sign an agreement with a massive short-term rental corporation. And I'm not going to say the name of the corporation, but I'm pretty sure you guys can put two and two together and figure it out. And so what happened is she signed, Mayor Scheinbaum signed an agreement with this corporation, and there were no limits put in place to the supply of short-term rentals. So slowly, actually not so slowly, the rents from 2022 to now went up 60% and even as much as 70% in some of these neighborhoods like La Condesa and La Roma Norte. And so I would be upset too if my rent went up 60% and I had been living here in peace for 20, 30, or 40 years and all of a sudden my rent almost doubled in 2 years. That's not sustainable. So from the lens of the local people, I get it. Like you are angry, you may want to find someone to point the finger at, and I think the gringos are the easiest person to point the finger at. But Your own government sold you out. Your own mayor let this happen. If this corporation wasn't operating here at this massive scale and dominating the rental market, nobody would be able to charge 45,000 or 60,000 pesos a month for an apartment that used to cost 16,000 pesos in 2020 or 2021. So that's point number one, guys. Nobody's talking about this. And I think finally a lot of people are coming to the realization that someone allowed this to happen. And I think there are things in the works to try to reverse this, but it may be too late, because once a corporation and the politicians get into bed together and there's money being made by both parties, it's a lot harder to undo. They say that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that's because it's just really hard to cure problems like this. It's a lot harder than just preventing them in the first place and having some foresight. So why did Ms. Scheinbaum, why did the mayor of CDMX agree to this? Well, she thought, or at least she said she thought it would be good for the city of CDMX, Mexico City. And so she thought the tax revenue would be worth it. And she also said that she didn't think it would have any material effect on the rental prices in these neighborhoods. I'll throw that up on the screen, guys. I'll share information throughout the video up on the screen. You can't make this stuff up. It's insane. All right, guys, let's move on to number two. The second reason that inflation is running so hot in Mexico, and I hear nobody talking about, is the number one source of income, or the number one source of revenue for Mexico is actually not petroleum, it's not tourism, it's not these digital nomads. And first of all, I did want to say Claudia Scheinbaum wanted to increase the amount of digital nomads in Mexico City. She was looking at it as a source of revenue. So if petroleum's producing 33 billion in revenue for Mexico, what could possibly be producing double that? Well, it's something that's not even happening in Mexico, right? And I'm talking about remittances. I'm talking about Mexican citizens in the US making money in a strong labor market and sending it back to their families in Mexico. This brought in about $66 billion in 2023. You can imagine that $66 billion in new money will drive inflation. This is money that wasn't here last year, and now it is. And these remittances are expected to top $70 billion this year. Why is that? Well, two reasons. The peso became stronger to the dollar, so people had to send, Mexican citizens in the US had to send more dollars to make up for the loss of purchasing power. And secondly, the labor market was extra strong since the pandemic. So imagine, and I would be doing the same, guys, I'm not judging. If I was a Mexican citizen who lived in the US and had this earning power to send money back to my loved ones, I would do it. Of course I would, and I would send as much as possible. But so the labor market was so strong that a lot of Mexican citizens working roofing, landscaping, cooking jobs, whatever it is, even white collar jobs, whatever it may be, but specifically in the labor markets, they're making more money, so they're sending more back. So keep those things in mind, guys. The gringos, are they to blame too? Yeah, a lot of gringos come down here, they don't speak Spanish, they overpay, grossly overpay for things, including rent, including goods and services. So I'm not trying to deflect the blame. I'm just saying that I think there's some misplaced hate. I think there's some misunderstandings out there that need to be cleared up. And that's the purpose of this video. The other purpose of the video is to start a discussion, but a constructive discussion in the comments below. What should be done about this? Who do you blame for this issue? Did you know about the politicians selling you out here in Mexico City? I really want to start a discussion that's actually constructive. I'm sick of the finger pointing. I'm sick of the blaming. I think this is a multifaceted issue, and it's not going to be easy to solve, okay? So guys, if you found value in this, if you appreciate my efforts here to try to bring light to these issues, smash the like button for me, subscribe if you haven't already. I really hope you enjoyed the content. I hope I didn't offend anyone. This is really sensitive stuff. I've been feeling a little bit hurt lately because I'm not feeling completely welcome here. Is this a place where gringos can come and feel welcome? Maybe not as much as 4 or 5 years ago. Guys, I've been coming to Mexico since I was 17 years old, by myself. My first trip to Mexico was northern Baja, drove my Camaro down there just as a kid who barely spoke Spanish. It was tough. So guys, I've seen Mexico change big time as well. And as painful as it's been for me to watch it change, it's got to be 100-fold or 1,000-fold for people who have been here for generations and generations. So please don't take this lightly on my part. Like, understand that I get the anger, I get the hurt, the resentment, being moved, displaced from your neighborhood where you have stories about your grandparents, your great-grandparents starting businesses, flourishing. Things have changed so drastically, but I think it's important to understand that there is not one party to blame. There are multiple things in effect, and oftentimes if you follow the money and you look what's happening politically, you will also get the bigger picture of what's going on. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. Rope Monster, out. All right, and you know I got to come at you guys with a little bit of bonus material. For those of you who stick around to the end of the video, I always try to come at you with something nice. So another thing that I'm hearing from locals here in CDMX is, first of all, these people love their food, and for good reason. It's delicious. But the salsas at the taco stands are actually changing because of the gringos. Guys, this is a real thing. A lot of gringos, not all gringos are created equally. I love spicy, but a lot of gringos, Canadians, Europeans can't handle the spicy nature of the salsas at the taco stands. So what happens is that a local will go back to his or her favorite taco stand and try their favorite salsa with their favorite taco, and it doesn't taste the same, and they're pissed. And I would be too. And the reason it doesn't taste the same is the taco stands are catering to the demographic that's moved into the neighborhood. So if the demographic can't handle spice, they're gonna change the salsa recipes. And that really sucks for the local people who have been eating at the same taco stands for 20 years. So keep that in mind. And then one other thing is that what's happening, the gentrification that's happening here in La Roma, La Condesa, is also happening within the US. Every state is different. For those of you who don't know, a lot of Californians have left California and gone to other states and gone to Mexico. Well, if you sell a home in California that's worth $1.6 million and you move right across the border to my home state of Oregon, you can get a lot of house for $800,000 or $1 million. But what's happening is the demand was so high that these Californians with excess cash were getting into bidding wars on the houses and bidding the prices up. And even back in like 2015, 2016, when I bought a house in Salem, Oregon, there were 3 bids on it. I ended up paying like 12% over asking price. So a lot of gringos are coming here out of desperation. It's not necessarily that they want to, it's that they can't afford to live in their home state anymore, so then they come to Mexico, and the cycle kind of continues. So it's complicated. I would say that gringos looking for, or Canadians or whomever, looking for a place that's not yet gentrified, you may want to try Ecuador, you may want to try Argentina, you may have to go farther than the country right next door. Hopefully that makes sense. These dogs are getting into it, guys, so I'm just gonna dip out. Catch you guys later.